Todd and Julie Chrisley have opened up and talked about trauma support after their prison release. Mental health is something that everyone should be aware of and take care of. So Todd and Julie are being open and honest about it all. Savannah Chrisley even opened up about what she has been feeling towards her parents. There is a lot to unfold and uncover. Keep reading to find out more about this situation. When Todd and Julie Chrisley got locked away, Savannah Chrisley had to take on a lot. Not only this, but she went through a lot during the time they were behind bars as well. She had to take custody of her younger siblings, Grayson and Chloe. She dealt with her ex dying, a breakup, and people turning on her after her parents were incarcerated. So yes, Todd and Julie had to go through a lot. But Savannah had to go through just as much, if not more. Her parents do recognize that, and have openly talked about the trauma she endured during this time. Todd and Julie Chrisley have revealed that they do think prisoners should get trauma support after being released from prison. Savannah even said she does not see a lot of trauma from her father, but she does with her mother. She then revealed that even though she loves them more than anything else, she does feel a disconnect from them. Todd then recognized that she did have to go through a lot during this time too, and she more than likely has a lot of trauma from this. Fans appreciated that Todd recognized all that Savannah had to go through. Fans think the entire family needs to get help processing what they went through. It seems as though Savannah notices more trauma in Julie than in Todd. However, Todd did not dismiss Savannah and let her know that she probably has more trauma than anyone else. Fans loved that he did not dismiss her and act like she went through nothing during this. He has his daughter's back and always will. However, this may lead to Savannah getting some help with what she has gone through. What do you think about this? Are you shocked about this? Sound off in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. They woke to a softly lit morning in the sprawling yet subdued house that Todd and Julie once filled with laughter and southern charm. The windows welcomed a timid sunrise that just barely peeked through gauzy curtains, illuminating the quiet corners of their life. Outside, the air was still humid, heavy with lingering memory. The world beyond the garden gate had changed. Inside, things had been altered even more. Behind closed doors, they'd moved cautiously. Todd, former patriarch of a reality empire, felt the weight of months spent behind hardened walls, where walls themselves seemed to press inward with sorrow and regret. His steps were slow. The floorboards unexpectedly creaked underfoot, awakening memories. Julie watched him from the threshold of the kitchen, where the kettle hissed with steam. Her heart tightened and loosened each time he turned around, uncertain what she would see. A man hollowed by confinement. Or the man she'd loved first. He poured a cup of coffee, fingers trembling slightly, the rich aroma grounding him. She set down the sugar and cream, small rituals reborn after the echoes of regimented routines. Through the steam, she felt the faintest glimpse of recognition, as if glimpsing him through a fog peeled back, not completely but just enough to remember the warmth he once carried. Days unfolded in a cycle of rediscovery. The backyard, once a stage for family gatherings and laughter, lay quiet. They lowered lawn chairs under a towering oak tree. Underneath its sprawling canopy, the air smelled of earth and renewal. Here, Todd closed his eyes and let the breeze wash over him, reminding him of simpler days. Julie sat beside him, a gentle presence, her hand resting on his, no words necessary. Her touch bore a language beyond speech, a history of intimacy, of shared victories and failures, of a love that had steadfastly resisted disintegration. Trauma was not something they could outrun. It seeped through cracks in their routine. Dreams visited Todd in restless slumber, returning him time and again to cramped cells, harsh floors, the clang of bars' midnight stillness. At odd moments, his body stiffened. His gaze drifted. Julie learned to meet that gaze patiently, never judgmental, always tender. She placed her hand on his shoulder, firm but soft. Her strategy: unwavering attention. Counseling sessions began, held in a small office just off their living room. A therapist guided them with a practice to neutrality. On a couch too firm and sterile, Todd spoke through a web of guilt. There had been legal missteps, conviction, sentencing, public humiliation, financial collapse, and the steady erosion of trust. Behind walls, he had learned new truths about himself, the habitual need for control, the blind pursuit of perfection, the fraying edges of integrity. Julie recognized the man beneath it all, flawed and humbled. Julie's own trauma was quieter but no less pervasive. She carried isolated shards from public scrutiny, legal struggles, and relentless media exposure. In quieter moments, her reflection in the mirror reminded her of a life split across screens and headlines. Her identity felt fragmented. Socialite, mother, wife, partner, convicts spouse. All measured in judgment and whispers. Their counselor recommended structured healing, mindfulness. A small meditation bench arrived. In its wood grain, Julie traced lines of lineage, her grandparents, the simple faith that shaped her. Todd, skeptical but hopeful, followed her lead. In the pre-dawn hush, they brought the bench outside. The sky glimmered pale blue. Birdsong rose beyond the city noise. Every inhale carried possibility. Exhale carried remorse. They learned breathing could cradle mistakes, acknowledge pain, and yet open cracks for fresh light. Heather days, they gardened together. Tulips, marigolds, jasmine. Though Todd had never been set apart by imaginative green fingers, he discovered serene concentration in tending fragile life. Julie watched as he knelt in warm soil, scrubbing dirt-streaked hands afterward and smiling in quiet satisfaction. It was not redemption, it was re-entry. Each sprout was a silent testament to recovery. Evenings found them in the living room. Family photos lined the mantel, children's faces beaming, years before the descent. They tilted their heads, remembering milestones, graduations, anniversaries, golden birthdays. Todd traced a cheek in polished silver frame. Julie responded with a gentle squeeze of his wrist. Both of them carried grief for the seasons lost, months of childhood moments missed, fragmented family dinners, stolen visits in gray visiting rooms. But in those photographs lay future promise, the promise to rebuild. Friendly visits resumed, timid at first. A neighbor from down the lane showed up with a casserole, holding his gaze, not averting. No applause, no cameras, just warmth. She waved from the driveway, arms full of fresh-baked bread. Todd accepted with silent gratitude. He felt grounded in that offering of trust. Julie placed the dish on their kitchen table, signal of renewal. Moments like this wove a new fabric of community, thread by thread. Nightfall brought deeper reckonings. Todd returned to his journal, pages once untouched. He filled in reflections, day's triumphs, emotional encounters, the stinging armor of public opinion. Every entry ended with a note of gratitude for breath, for forgiveness, for the unyielding presence seated across from him. In his final pages, he sketched a plan, a foundation, trauma-informed classes, support for families touched by legal hardship. More than restitution, a legacy of aid. Julie recorded too, unsayed sorrow, curious hope, reimagined identity. She wrote about watching him awaken, rebuilding rhythm, emerging from the cavern of shame. She wrote of her own resilience, her shoulders steadier, her voice softened. She chronicled their joint decision, each year, to mark a day of remembrance. They would plant a tree, write a letter to their future selves, release seeds to the wind. Every year, an emblem of progress. Spring ripened into summer. The garden matured, colors deepened, and the oak's shade spread wider. The world outside began to shift. Podcast invites came for Todd, not for lawsuit talk, but to discuss resilience. Julie was asked to share insights about healing marriage. They declined carefully, mindful of silence. Each invitation sparked a gentle reflection. Publicity could be helpful, but only if authentic. Then came the moment they stepped outside, together, for their first event. Not cameras, no microphones, just a community gathering at a local nonprofit. Their reclaimed visibility flickered in the warm afternoon sun. They walked side by side. The crowd, small but earnest, greeted them with tentative warmth. In their eyes, no shock, no condemnation, Just recognition of two people with a story. Todd's hands were steady. Julie's posture relaxed. In that moment, the stage was not yet bright, but it no longer felt like a trial. Evening light caught in their home once more. They lingered near the front gate after the guests finished departing. The sky deepened to indigo, stars pricked through the twilight. Todd reached for Julie's hand. There were no words, none needed. Their breath synchronized, unhurried. A soft exhale. A shared heartbeat. A bridge over trauma built one day at a time.